Kia ora folks, welcome to today's vlog. Thanks very much for taking the time to come and check it out. The other day when I was talking about governance, I talked about the Institute of Directors' 4 pillars of good governance. And they're about determining purpose, developing an effective governance culture, holding people to account, and having effective compliance practices in place. And I just thought I'd touch briefly today on strategy, which is, determining your purpose, one of the core pillars. Look, I think this applies whether you're a large organisation, whether you're a multinational, a corporate, or whether you're that typical SME in New Zealand and probably the rest of the world, where sometimes the owner is the director, the shareholder, the managing director, and the T person as well. And I just wanted to talk about strategy and what I see as strategy. And I think for me, if you can understand what you're trying to achieve in your business, you get really good clarity of thought. And I don't know if you can relate to this, but a lot of companies just grow organically. They start with a really cool idea, they do some things, and then over time they've gone from this thing here to this thing here. And sometimes it's more good luck than good planning. So strategy to me is really understanding what is your core purpose. What are you trying to do as an organization? What are you trying to achieve? Not in the today, but in that much broader perspective. And look, there's lots of tools and lots of exercises you can do. The good old SWOT analysis, that's still a pretty good exercise to do. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You might do a pestle analysis, Porter's 5 forces. There's lots of things you can do. What I'm suggesting is that if you haven't taken the time to actually sit down and do some strategic planning for your business, now might be a good time. And I think don't get too hung up on the detail when you're looking at that broader perspective. You're trying to work out where you're going. You don't necessarily need to know how you're going to get there. You just need to have some really good milestones in place. And I tend to think from a strategic thinking perspective, 5+ years is the time frame that I think of, because anything shorter than that sometimes is a little bit achievable and realistic. Whereas 5+ years, it lets you just think about those things in a slightly different manner. Look, there's heaps of resources out there. You can find a lot of stuff online. You can find publications on my website, PlanAConsulting.co.nz. I've got some information. There's some awesome books out here. This one's by Vern Harnish, which I think is a fantastic book. But the key thing is you need to stop and think. Once you've identified what that purpose is, then I think you need to put some process in place that you can actually measure your implementation. Because if you just do a whole lot of stuff and can't measure it, you don't know if you're going in the right direction. And ideally, you should be able to take all that strategic thinking and get it onto one page. Now listen, don't think that you can necessarily sit down in one session though and work out what is your strategy. That comes with time. So you don't need to know all the answers. The important thing is you get off and you get underway and you get going. So today's business brief is simply take time to do some strategic planning. Thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel or feel free to share with someone else. Thanks very much and we'll chat to you next time. Bye-bye.